You've been told two completely opposite things about getting what you want. On one side, believe, visualize, keep your faith completely unshakable, and on the other, let go, detach, stop needing it so much. And if you look at your own life, both have probably worked. There were times when you were certain and it happened, and times you stopped caring and it showed up right after. But the part almost nobody explains is that it isn't luck that both worked. There is one missing piece in how detachment usually gets taught, and once you see it, you'll understand exactly why you felt caught between the two. There were moments where you were fully convinced something would happen, and it did, and there were other moments you basically stopped caring, and that's exactly when it showed up. So naturally, you're left confused about what's actually going on underneath it, because if you can't pin down the mechanism, you can't reliably repeat the result. By the way, if you're meeting for the first time, my name is Prakhar. What I'm sharing isn't just theory, it's what I learned building companies and negotiating multi-million dollar deals under real world pressure. Now think of the last time you genuinely wanted something badly. Not like a passing want, but something that genuinely mattered to you. For example, picture someone named John, and let's say he's been chasing a big deal for months. He's poured in the time, the effort, and if this deal lands, it genuinely shifts things for him. Now picture what is going on in his head. Do you think he's relaxed about it, or his mind is circling back to it constantly? Chances are he's replaying every conversation, checking his phone way too often, over analyzing every single delayed reply and every small shift in her tone. And the thing is, John is not normally an anxious guy. That's the strange part. He doesn't usually second guess himself, but around this one thing which feels enormous to him. And that is actually the clue we're looking for, because the moment something starts to feel like it's carrying your entire future inside of it, like the outcome is the proof of something about you, that's exactly when the grip tightens. And that's the point where wanting quietly turns into needing. They look almost the same from the outside, but internally they're completely two different states. And the state John is stuck in, that's the actual problem. Not because he's doing anything wrong, it is simply how we're built as human beings. Once something starts to feel like our future depends on it, we shift into this kind of a high alert mode, and the distance between where we are and where we want to be, it starts to feel enormous. And once that state kicks in, you don't have to say a word for people to sense it. It kind of just leaks out through how you carry yourself, the energy you walk into a room with. And the frustrating irony is, the more John wants this deal to close, the more that wanting quietly sabotages him. And it's not because the universe is out there to punish effort, but because of what that internal state does to how he shows up in every call, every follow-up, every room he walks into around this. Now pause for a second and think about where this shows up in your own life. Maybe it's not a business deal, maybe for you it's a relationship or an opportunity or something you've been working toward, but there is probably something right now that has this same kind of grip on you. You know, somewhere where you're supposed to feel detached, but you clearly don't. And every time you try to force the letting go, you end up right back inside of it. Now that's not you failing at mindset work, it just means that particular goal has picked up more emotional weight than it should have. And that's exactly what we're untangling here. Now, in every other part of his life, John is genuinely solid. Like for example, he runs great sales calls, he manages his team well, he's competent across the board, but notice how differently he shows up there. He's not spiraling through worst case scenarios beforehand, he's not overthinking the outcome, he just walks in, does the work and trusts that it will go fine. There is kind of an ease to that version of him. He's not hyping himself up, he just simply expects things to work out. That's what belief actually looks like in practice. Now, imagine John brought that exact same energy into the deal. Not that he stops caring, not that he stops pretending it doesn't matter, but he just lands somewhere closer to that I want this, I'm putting in the work for it, and I'll be fine either way, even if it takes longer than expected. Not compulsively checking his phone, not over analyzing every signal, just steady. And if you line up those two versions of John side by side, the one on a normal sales call and the one he could be during this deal, they're almost indistinguishable internally. He still wants the outcome, it's just no longer dictating his emotional state. And that's exactly why both pieces of advice, believe harder and also let go, they actually work. Because they were never opposing strategies, they're just two different paths that both lead to the same internal destination. And the part most people are never actually told, that nobody explains detachment as a place you have to arrive at. They hand it to you as a technique instead, like stop checking your phone or act like you don't care, without ever explaining what you're supposed to be letting go towards. That's the missing piece. It was never about doing less, it's about reaching a state where the outcome simply stops running you. And once John gets to that place, once you get there, everything starts to move differently. And a very simple way to picture all of this is, think of an elevator. You walk up to the elevator, you hit the button for your floor, and then what do you actually do? You don't keep pressing it. You don't like stand there staring at the number display wondering if the system registered your request. You obviously don't spiral about whether it's actually coming or not. You just wait. Maybe you check your phone or think about where you're headed next. You let the process run because you've used enough elevators to trust how it works. Now at the same time, picture someone else. They press the button, then they just stand there, pressing it again and again and again, and growing more agitated by the second about why it hasn't arrived yet. It's the same button, same floor, wildly different experience. And that's basically what most of us do with the things we actually want. We set an intention and then we spend every day mentally camped out at the elevator door, hammering the button, wondering why it isn't here already. That second state is what actually gets in the way. Your job was never to manage the elevator, it's to press the button once, trust it's on the way, and go live your day while it does its job. Now, what do you actually do with all of this? Start with one thing, not your entire life, just one specific thing you're gripping too tightly right now, and ask yourself honestly, if this doesn't happen, will I genuinely still be okay? Not thrilled about it, but just okay. If your honest answer is yes, you've already loosened the grip, and that alone changes how you show up. But if your answer is I'm not totally sure, that's a sign that this particular thing has taken on much more weight than it should actually carry. And at that point, it stopped being a simple goal, it's turned into a proof of something bigger. Maybe it's a proof of your worth, your momentum, or whether you're on the right track in life. That's exactly why it feels so heavy. And that's the actual thing worth untangling. Now the second piece is to set your intention once and leave it there. Because John over here doesn't need like a daily ritual around his deal. He just needs one clear moment of, this is what I'm going for and I'm showing up fully for it. Once and done. And then bring your focus back to today. What can John actually do today that moves things forward, whether or not the deal closes this week? What can he sharpen in his pitch, his process, his relationships? What's worth building right now that doesn't depend on one single outcome? That is where the real energy should go, because the people who actually get what they want aren't the ones wanting it the hardest. They're the ones who stay in motion, stay grounded, and keep building while trusting the process underneath of it. Belief versus detachment was never really a real debate. They're just two different roads that lead to the same place, where you still want something, but it no longer controls your internal state. And that's really the piece you were missing. Not some new technique, just realizing both paths were always leading to the same door. Once that clicks, the feeling of being stuck between the two disappears on its own. Now, understanding the concept is one thing, but seeing how it actually works inside a real complete process is what makes it click. That's what exactly I broke down in the Joe Dispenza video, his full complete manifestation framework, step by step. The link is in the description and on your screen, and I'll see you there.